The object that you see here is an original manuscript of a poll list for an election that took place in Montgomery Township of Somerset County, New Jersey on October 13th and 14th of 1801. Of the 343 total voters on this list, 46 of them were women, and at least 4 were free black men of color. This election was for state and county offices. They included General Assembly, Legislative Council, Sheriff, and Coroner. This is the first poll list that we were able to discover at the Museum of the American Revolution. It's on loan from the New Jersey State Archives. One of the ways that we authenticate a document like this is by looking at the paper. Look at the color of this paper, which is very tan and natural looking. It's not a bright white paper that you might typically see in a 20th century document. One of the most interesting parts of this document is looking at the ink itself and how the voters on this poll list were actually recorded. We see irregular ink patterns throughout the piece of paper. For instance, some of them are very sharp and heavy ink, while others are very light. Depending on when each of these voters might have come to the polls, these poll inspectors might have used different mixtures of ink or recorded their names at different times. This is the back of this poll list here, and as you can see at the very end, it doesn't only list out all of the election officials, for instance, the poll inspector and the judge, but it also lists the total number of voters, in this case 343. Now we have to question whether this was the actual number of voters or the actual number of legitimate voters. For instance, in the 1797 election statute, we do see some rules and regulations for elections. One of them would be that the poll list would be what determined the number of voters in the election. For instance, if there were more ballots than 343 in the box, only 343 of them, as you see in the list here, would be counted. This election, like so many elections in early New Jersey, took place at a tavern. And not any tavern, it was Rocky Hill Inn Tavern, which actually still stands today as a residential home in Montgomery Township, New Jersey. The image you see here is one of the original rooms of the tavern where this election took place in 1801 in Montgomery Township.